Good morning, Internet. It's Carrie, the Carrie Fairy Bear. Um, I'd like to talk a little bit about freedom of speech. For a long time, I have chosen this hill to die on, the fact that it's coming under legislation now in Canada. Hate speech is being outlawed, and the concept or notion of hate speech is becoming extremely controversial, and it's having ramifications that we're now seeing unfold. Um, why is freedom of speech my most important value? What is it about this particular amendment in the United States Constitution, the First Amendment, that makes it so powerful and important? For me, it seems clear that when you remove someone's right to speak, they're left with nothing to do but enact violence. Ultimately, this is the result when you remove someone's right to express themselves verbally, and it's not necessary that they all are given equal platform in different social media structures. But having the government legislate against speech is extremely, extremely disturbing, and we're now seeing that in Canada as what people are calling liberal legislation against or hate speech against transgender pronouns and other sorts of things that can be labeled offensive. These are coming under attack. So this is a slippery slope, and it's one that once you start sliding down, just like they're finding out in Canada, there's no way to come back from that unless you strip the law from the books and go back to a state of ability to speak openly. I've recently left Facebook. I found myself being really agitated, irritated when I would check into my newsfeed, and I would be shown just a certain small group of people and a subset of thought. I think speech directly relates to thought. Thought is how we speak. Speaking is how we hear our thoughts, and it's important that when we give our thoughts voice, we have at least one other person who can hear us and reflect back to us in a mirroring sort of way. So this is why people go to confession. This is why people have counselors. We need to be able to speak our minds and hear ourselves speak. If we do this cognitively, we actually change the way we understand ourselves. It's one of the reasons Dr. Jordan Peterson does his lectures. He's spoken about this before, where by thinking and by talking through his thoughts, he's actually structuring his understanding of the world. So this is a really, really important thing that we protect for our individual sanity as well as our collective conscious. We need to have the ability to openly discuss topics, no matter how offensive they may be. Offensiveness is subjective. It can only be weighed by one person saying something. It's a he said, she said situation. There's no way you can come to a delineated, objective conclusion about what is offensive, because what's offensive to one person can be extremely hilarious to another. So we really need to strip away this notion of hate speech or offensive speech. If you're offended, that's your fucking problem, quite frankly. You need to go figure out why you're offended, check your fucking ego, and figure out what's going on that you personally are so horrified that someone would say something. Sticks and stones will break your bones, but words do not hurt you. And that's a fucking fact. So let's all put on our big girl panties and let's talk amongst ourselves about this topic. This topic is so important. When you remove the right to speak, you're leaving someone with no recourse but to enact violence. This is the only way they can be heard. So please, please consider this and pass this message along. I'm a counselor. I am a Tai Chi and Qigong coach, and I listen to people and I hear their stories, and I try my best not to judge based on my own, shortcomings and failings of sight. I try to release that and just come from a place of openness and concern for the individual. And we really need to consider this as we move forward in our legislation. The individual's rights are to be held at the most highest point in the legislative procedure. When we start taking away individuals' rights, we lose the very foundation of our nation. So please, please consider this. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.